Hey, good afternoon, everyone. About 12:40 here right now. I thought I would jump onto our Facebook platforms to Facebook, Twitter, X, I should say, and our digital platforms here at WCIA to talk more about the severe weather threat that's coming our way here. So, if you are on now, I'm having to move things around a little bit to make space and time for this. Let me know where you're watching from. I appreciate that, and then I'll try to answer some questions at the end. But we're kind of getting ourselves ready for this afternoon, about 2.5 hours out from when we expect storms to arrive here. So it should be pretty good overall with that. So looks like we've got some folks that are checking in. And again, 12:40, this forecast will be good for the afternoon based on where we are as we're entering the go time here. I'm in the studio. Kevin is out he's actually just got here. He's heading out in the storm tracker. And then we'll have Seth and Adam helping out with digital and behind the scenes as well as we go through the afternoon. So another day with full team coverage here across the area. Let's jump over to the graphics and we'll just check those out really quick here. And we'll just start rolling in what our current conditions are here. So as I get that switched over here, let's get that to flip on. There we go. And you can see right now, satellite and radar overall shows some quiet conditions out there. We had storms this morning in southern Illinois. The far bottom left of that screen, you can see down south of Columbia, Missouri, storms firing up. Those are where we're going to see storms come in our direction. We should see more storms form north of there, but that's going to be the source of our severe weather here. Temperatures are warm. They're in the 80s out there. You can see over eastern Kentucky that rain cooled air, but the atmosphere in southern Illinois has recovered. And the atmosphere here is recovering. We have some dry air still in place. Notice dew point values are still in the 50s. We got to get them into the 60s here, and they may approach the upper 60s along I-70 where that tornado threat is a little higher. Even though the air is dry, favorable conditions for hail aloft, and sometimes when you have a lot of dry air, that can help mix the strong winds down to the surface. So that's an issue that we'll be watching here. Heat index values, not a concern today because of the dew points being so low. The wind is something that we will be seeing. And you can see that south wind is in place, 10 to 20, 25 mile an hour. That's going to pick up as we go into the afternoon, evening here. All right, let's talk more about regional satellite and radar here and bring that out. First off, strong area of low pressure up in northwestern parts of the Midwest, up by Minnesota and the Dakotas, out in the Great Plains. Same storm system that brought the severe weather for us yesterday here. As we look, Arkansas and Missouri seeing some of that severe weather. In fact, there is a tornado watch in effect. That includes part of our area, Macoupin, Montgomery, and Fayette counties until 7 o'clock. I anticipate more watches and eventually warnings to fill in for a good chunk of the rest of our area. Whether they go tornado watch for some, tornado watch for all, severe thunderstorm watch for some, remains to be seen here, but we will see things pick up. So just because you're not under a watch now doesn't mean you won't be later here. Those that are in Macoupin, Montgomery, and Fayette County, as a reminder, if you have WeatherCall, you got the text message about that, and then you'll get those alerts. So WeatherCall is a great resource to have for this. We did the safety tips yesterday. I'm not going to spend much time in that. If you do want to learn more about WeatherCall, WCIA.com/weather/WeatherCall. And I'll even throw a link in the chat for you there. Or you can scan that QR code if you're perhaps watching, as a WeatherCall is a great resource to stay connected when there is severe weather. We call you, give you a physical phone call when a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your location. And it is specific to a fixed address. If you're on the go, the mobile app is great. You can take it with you. We'll give you alerts as well wherever you go with that. So 2 different services that we offer for that there. Now, before we talk about the severe weather potential, I do want to say real fast here that there's also going to be some blowing dust potential with this, and that's probably coming later this afternoon into tonight, even behind the storms. A little more worried in areas, especially north of I-72 and areas that did not get rain. There's quite a bit of rain along I-55. And it's not going to be a widespread, huge dust storm. You just need 1 or 2 fields that missed out on rain with the way relative humidity is dropping to be an issue. And there also is concern for fire weather danger there. Now, obviously, most of our fields have been plowed over. We've got seeds in the ground, and we're starting to get corn. Might try and pop even a little bit in that heat yesterday and today. But some areas that are grassy, dry, ditches, things like that, that's another concern that there is in place. And one of those reasons is our relative humidity is low here. Currently sitting in those spots, the 30s and 40s. If you see Jacksonville at 19%, very dry air is in place. And as we get the wind to pick up here, this is behind the storms. We'll talk about the severe storms in a second. Look at those wind gusts after the storms move on through out of the west, 45 to 55 miles an hour. That's non-thunderstorm wind gust here out of the west. after the severe weather threat ends for your location. When we look at relative humidity here, as we go into the afternoon, you can see the humidity values do rise. I'm using relative humidity at this point, but the dew points are probably the better way to talk severe weather. What I'm most interested in is notice into tonight there, those relative humidity values are lower. There's some dry air that is coming in on the backside here. All right, to the severe weather threat. The enhanced risk has been raised through most all of our area here, along and north of I-55, and then far northern Livingston, Ford, Iroquois counties, still in a slight. The moderate risk really hasn't changed much. It's about I-70 and to the south there. And when we look at that risk of severe weather here, that level 3 risk is mainly, I think, because of the hail and wind threat, but there is a tornado threat for some of us. More on that graphic here in a second. In the meantime, the threat there for tennis ball size hail, if not larger, cannot discount some areas seeing larger than tennis balls. The thing to note about hail is you have to get a storm and you have to be in the strongest part of the storm. So not everyone sees that hail, and that's a good thing. The wind threat also there could see some 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts, maybe a little higher. And then, of course, for some of us, that tornado threat medium. Big difference yesterday compared to today. And let me go back and fix that really fast here because that just breezed on through super quick. The big thing about yesterday compared to today is yesterday we anticipated 1 or 2 storms. That's what we got, right? We had the complex of storms along I-55 moving to the north and east. We had that one storm that was tornado warned. Now we're talking more scattered and maybe in some cases numerous with the storm threat here. And so that is something to keep our eyes on as we move on forth here is more areas will see storms than yesterday. I saw a few comments. You guys talked about severe weather yesterday, and I heard a rumble of thunder, or I didn't get anything. The key is the coverage of those storms. A couple of intense storms yesterday, today more scattered intense storms expected here. Here's future track. Notice as we go into 1, 2 o'clock, 2:30, still storms not quite in our area yet here. Probably 2 o'clock is when we start to ramp up our coverage. And by 3 to 4, those storms are really moving on through. The most intense part of the storms, probably between 4 and 7 at this point. But even that 3 o'clock hour could be dicey. And a couple of things that stand out to me. First off, early on, you see more of these individual storms. That's where that hail threat will be the largest. And that hail threat may be a little larger earlier on. As we move on through, you start to see a slight backward C shape up here. It's very vague at this point, 445. Still some individual cells in there. But those storms may start to line together, and that would bring that wind risk up. Still have a hail risk, but maybe not as large as earlier. And then you can see here how they really, according to Future Track, line out as they head across the state. This particular run gets us clear by 6. I'm not sure we've even done that early. So we're going to leave that 2, 3 o'clock starting to ramp up. By 4 o'clock, we're in the thick of things. And after 6, 7 o'clock, then things are on the way out there. And then we'll be quiet for the night, which is nice to see here. Let's talk about those individual risks. First off, the tornado risk in yellow is a 5, and orange is a 7 here. And you could argue that you're probably closer to a 6 there. If you're closer to the orange, you're more at a 4. If you're closer to the green, we'll see how that shakes out. Any storm complex, it's the storm in the south side that would stick out, or if a storm remains more isolated, would be where that tornado risk materializes. In the southern part of the state, it's quite a bit higher. I'll show you the statewide view of that here in just a bit. Here's that hail risk size. Remember the earlier storms that were more isolated? Well, there's that pink area. We've added the chance for baseball-sized hail. That may include areas like Taylorville, Litchfield, Shelbyville, perhaps as far east as Sullivan, Mattoon, Charleston, and Effingham. Again, that's the risk. Not everyone's going to see baseball-sized hail in those areas, but if the strong storms move through there, there could be some reports of that to come out. We may start to see that hail risk shrink off to the east, but I won't discount still large hail all the way into West Indiana here. Tennis ball, baseball size, really anything above golf balls is a problem here. So this is the type of day, again, where we just get a couple of storms. There could be some reports of some large hail, and some of that large hail caused quite a bit of damage yesterday. We had the Athens community had quite a bit of hail damage, and then Lincoln up towards Bloomington and into Livingston County. Boy, I know some folks at Illinois State University got walloped with that hail as it rolled on through. Now, the wind gust threat as well is there. 70 to 75 mile an hour gusts are possible here. I think those are not widespread. I don't think it's this sweeping wind, but with those individual storms, and as they cluster together, that wind threat will be there as well. So there's that timing. Again, 2 o'clock, we're pretty good, but we're starting to see things ramp up and watch those storms come our way. 3 o'clock, we start to increase that risk. By 4, 5, and 6 p.m., that threat is at its maximum for us, and then they exit pretty quickly. These storms will be moving highway speeds, just to give you some reference point for that. All right, here's the outlook statewide. Look at that big red area. Southern Indiana, southern Illinois, much of Kentucky, southeastern Missouri, a moderate risk for severe weather down there. Just because we're not in the moderate doesn't mean we still won't get severe weather. I anticipate severe weather today across central Illinois. But the risk down south probably is a little higher for that tornado threat. Here's the statewide tornado risk here. Again, up north, you get north of I-55, no real issues here. We're at a 5 for much of central Illinois, and then we ramp up quickly. I got it at a 9 in southern Illinois. The Storm Prediction Center has said there could be several strong long-track tornadoes, and they even outlined there could be 1 or 2 storms that bring an intense, long-lived tornado down that way. And that primarily is focused places like Mount Vernon, Carbondale, Harrisburg, Paducah, Southern Illinois University, thinking about that as we're wrapping up the semester and folks are traveling. Those are the areas. Shawnee National Forest, down by, some of the Rend Lake, places like that are where that tornado risk is highest. And then we still have a risk here in central Illinois. It will not be as high as it is down south, but still could be an issue for us there. That is the update that I have for you, and I would love to stick on here more with you, but I've got to get some things taken care of here. So I'm going to quickly look and see if there's any questions. We won't get to a lot to them, but we'll get the chance maybe to answer a few of those here. So if you've got one, stick it in, and then we'll wrap things up here. And I'm looking down at my computers to see your chats that you've got with the day today. Again, kind of recapping, the hail and wind is the bigger threat. There may be a couple of storms that tornado threat is a little higher. That favors the I-70 corridor, but I won't rule it out a little further north. Sometimes storms can interact with each other. We saw that yesterday in Macon County with that tornado warning. One storm kind of came on in the backside and nudged into the other one, and that spun up that rotating wall cloud and that funnel cloud we brought you in the storm tracker and on our Skycam on WCIA. And so sometimes storms can interact and do that and have a localized increase in that tornado risk. But overall, more people will see hail and more people will see wind than the tornado threat there. Cheryl is saying she's in Decatur. And Cheryl, you might have had some storms yesterday, but you're worried about friends and family in Fairfield, Grayville, and El Dorado, Southern Illinois. Yeah, remember that weather call? That weather call is great because you can also get it for your friends and family far away. So here's a great Christmas gift, right? For $12, peace of mind. We will call them if they are in Southern Illinois. We will call them if they are in Colorado. We will call them in New York. Anywhere in the continental United States, you can sign up their address and do that for them. And it's just $12 a year. I'm sorry, $15 a year. I got to say that right. $15 a year is what that cost is. And so just a great way. You get 2 phone numbers, you get 2 emails, and you get 2 text messages with those phone numbers if they are not landlines. If it's a landline phone, then you won't get the text message on a landline phone, obviously, but that's an option if you've got friends elsewhere. Great gift, right? $15 a year. Sometimes the Christmas list are $100, $150 items, but why not give an early Christmas gift, $15, peace of mind. Other questions showing up here. Some general, what about this town? What about that town? If you say, what about this town, that town? One thing I'll mention is that you've got to know your location and be able to identify it on a map. I put a post out yesterday. We've got 360 towns and villages and hamlets and whatnot that are in our viewing area. So it's hard to answer everything. But again, for our viewing area, basically 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., prime time 4, 5, 6 is the way to look at that. And that's going to be an issue for that. Robin says, I mentioned storms tomorrow. Oh, you know what? I know what happened. I forgot to update the text. There are no storms on Saturday. Saturday is clear. Clear Saturday. I forgot to update that because I reused the file from basically the description from yesterday when I was talking yesterday and today. So no storms for the weekend. The weekend is great. Great catch there, Robin, on that. Tristan asking about how to stay safe when you're in a trailer. First off, have a safe place to go. Mobile homes are not great during severe weather events. It could be a site-built structure, the gas station, a restaurant, fast food place just down the road. Maybe you got a friend or a family member close by. You can grab a bottle of wine or get some snacks and go take it to them. If you want more information about how to stay safe, our website, wci.com/weather/severe. That's our severe weather center. It's full of resources that you can use to stay informed with that. Other questions? Here's a great one. Kathy is asking, do you think this will be the last severe event for the season, or are we going to keep trekking on? We are going to keep trekking on. More severe weather in the forecast for next Monday, maybe late at night, and again Tuesday for some of our areas. So we'll watch that. All severe weather events are different. They all have different, strengths and intensities and things of that. So no two severe weather risks are the same, but we'll break that down and just see how that goes. I tend to think that we'll watch storms both Monday and Tuesday out west, and we'll I won't say get the leftovers, but they'll kind of be the most intense out west, and then they kind of weaken or come together, and we still have some risk, but we'll see how that goes, and we'll get there. But there will be some changes. The 8 to 14-day outlook has some cool air coming on, and we got highs next week in the 60s to end the week, which will bring some quieter weather for us there. All right, it is 12:55. I'm going to sign off here so I can get stuff set up. We'll be watching things here for the next few hours. Again, 3 o'clock, things start to ramp up. 4, 5, 6, our prime time for that. And we'll keep you updated here through the day. Take care, stay weather aware, and good chance we'll see you on TV.